It has been a very, very busy offseason for Mike Norvell and the Florida State Seminoles. After a brutal 2024 season, a lot of things have to be shaked up. A lot of things have to change. And so with that, the coaching staff has to change. We've seen it in the transfer portal, attrition in and out, and a lot of logistics behind the scenes, off the field staff, and Florida State now Mike Norvell as well, making an announcement of some staff changes on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Primarily here, sticking on the defensive side, John Papuchis, former Florida State defensive ends coach and special teams coach, which he is going to retain that role as Florida State special teams coach. He's going to move, though, from defensive ends coach over to linebackers. He spent the last 5 years at that position. This does make some sense here. When you brought in Tony White from Nebraska, Florida State's new defensive coordinator, it makes sense for this adjustment to happen because Terrence Knighton, who you also brought from Nebraska, who is going to be Florida State's next defensive lines coach, he is going to coach the entire defensive line. And I think I saw a lot of social media and FSU fans wondering, why does FSU make this move and such? You know, John Papuchis has a background of getting guys into the league at the linebacker position, including a few guys, a well-known name like Will Compton, as we know. I think he's over there with Barstool Sports and Busted with the Boys. He has a famous podcast that's out there in the sports media world, Will Compton, and also too, Cole Holcomb, who's actually with my Pittsburgh Steelers as well. He's actually had 16 NFL draft picks in his background, talking about John Papuchis. And, you know, I think to us, the biggest thing here, too, that I'm going to go on with is that Ernie Sims is going to stay on this staff. He was a name that was, maybe a potential candidate, maybe on, Florida State's sheet there that, a name that could eventually take on that after losing, moving on from Randy Shannon. Ernie Sims, All-American at Florida State, number 9 overall pick and the 2006 NFL draft. He's had past experience coaching at UCF and USF. He was with the staff this last season, helping develop a lot of those guys, a lot of younger talent that Florida State needed to see development from. But with this, Florida State is going to have both Papuchis and Ernie Sims coaching those linebackers, with Ernie Sims getting an assistant linebacker gig here for the Seminoles. Mike Norvell saying having JP and Ernie together will create a phenomenal atmosphere for our linebackers. So I know a little bit of a mixed reaction from the Florida State fan base. I think Florida State putting a big focus into recruiting as much as they can. That's one thing that the staff coming in with a lot of ties to South Florida, you can tell they're trying to get a better hold of that sector, because looking at what you have with Randy Shannon, recruiting was a disappointment from him. And we'll see what John Papuchis can do here on the recruiting side of things. I'm not sure if that's much of a massive change, I should say, but we'll see how development goes and Florida State and what they end up doing in the transfer portal to help increase play at that position, because it's a really important position in this new defensive scheme that Tony White is bringing to the Seminoles. One other thing on the offensive side of the ball, Austin Tucker has been named assistant wide receiver coach. He brings 7 years of experience under Mike Norvell, including roles with also the running backs and quarterbacks. He actually previously coached wide receivers at North Alabama. One thing, though, he has ties with Gus Malzahn going back to his days at Auburn. Mike Norvell saying, Austin's experience will benefit our wide receivers corps at a high level. So he'll be Florida State's assistant wide receivers coach to Tim Harris Jr., as we know, coming in as being Florida State's wide receivers coach. He was previously UCF's offensive coordinator, and of course the ties there makes sense with Gus Malzahn. But let me know in the comments down below what you think of these staff changes. Hit the like button and make sure you hit subscribe so you get notified every time we release a new video. Thanks for watching.